Okay, I'm actually going to start recording because there's a really good discussion coming on. I think 1v1s are critically overrated in RTSs, and here's why. There's an amazing element to this one-on-one, just pure skill. Who's better? Who makes the least mistakes? But from a spectating perspective and also a participating perspective, it's so much more wondrous when you add 2 players in, 3 players in, 4 players in. There's more points for failure. There's more points for success. There's more marvel in the journey and the experience along the way. And also, just as a casual player, it gives you someone else to blame. But there's going to be no one to blame here. We are going to be on Floodplains, which I believe was one of Avali's creations here. This is Scrimwatch, Louis MT going up against Marine Lord. These games were streamed by Marine Lord last night, which is why I am willing to cast them. I have a rule. It is, you know, my morals. I like to stick to it. If I see that someone has left their data open, but it's a custom game that was clearly Scrims, I will not cast it. Unless they have already streamed it somewhere else, in which case it is fair game. So thank you, Mr. Marine Lord, for putting these all up for the public to see already. Abbey of Kings coming in, Manticore on the other side, as we are going to have an English-Malian matchup. Quite an interesting one. Already someone's going to ask the question, why is no one fishing on this map? It's because there is no fish. That's right. The water is just there as kind of a dynamic to invest in. You can even technically use ships to try and win fights, but there is no eco advantage to going to docks here, which is why both players are rushed towards feudal. Malians versus English, though, this is a matchup that just a few weeks ago, if you saw this pick, you get 2 minutes in, you GG, go next. I don't think that's the case anymore. This Abbey of Kings build now has made this a 50-50 matchup. I think it's skill-based. And, you know, I was noticing Marino was saying similar recently, like one of the chats we're in. He actually dropped the comment after I was defending the buff to Kings and saying it needs to play out. He's like, I think this has done a good thing for the Malian matchup. It doesn't just make it one-sided anymore. And I am inclined to agree. This early King timing gives you so much flexibility to play a full feudal, to go double TC, to go fast castle. And what it does is it forces a Malian player to react. That's advantageous. If you compare it to the alternative where you had to build a council hall that's one-dimensional and is already countered by Malians, it's very easy for the Malian player to read. But now, with this detail of being able to go Abbey of Kings, all of a sudden, the player has to react in a different way. They have to build into racks, they have to build into donzos. And the English player on the other side is just going to be going for a TC. That's an insane advantage. Because if you think about the maths involved in that, that's going to be racks plus, say, 2 donzos. All of a sudden, that's half the cost of the TC that you've put into defending yourself, and they've got this king for free. Swap water texture. You know, one thing I was kind of realizing recently when we were playing on the generated world map, I do really wish there was more flexibility with the textures on the map, right? Because you choose a biome. I wish you could actually have kind of a hybridized biome where you can mix in multiple angles. Because, like, for example, the world map especially, it's quite the gutter that you can't have a snow biome at the bottom and then, like, you know, a kind of Saharan biome and then a North European one. That would be amazing. Winter Muffins asks, has the English become too powerful with the King of Abbeys option? I do not think they have. I think it just hasn't been figured out. You're looking at an entirely new build. Remember how OP Jeanne was in everyone's minds just a few months ago, and now we're regularly seeing Jeanne get crotch stomped by a lot of unexpected civs? It's kind of similar there, right? Where when you give people time, when you let it cook, people have to come up with solutions. This happens every time. Something new gets introduced, something gets changed, and all of a sudden, oh my god, OP. The crazy thing about this particular civ is they functioned a very specific, clear way time and time again. And now you have to change your strategies to overcome them. So you need to learn new strats to win. That's all that's happened here. I don't think the king is too powerful. I don't think the Abbey of Kings giving it for free is too powerful. I just think players need to readjust their approaches. The way of kind of thinking this is, imagine if all of a sudden after all these years, French had the Chamber of Commerce changed to give a different unit type. Like, it wasn't a trade building. Let's say it was a different military building. What I'm suggesting there is now a situation where French players don't just open up knights. It completely confuses you. Like, the game is off. Your game sense makes no sense. What you've been learning from Beastie Cuties guides and what you've been learning in Voldemar's coaching sessions all of a sudden is different to what you're experiencing. Actually, I don't want to discredit Voldemar like that because he usually tailors his coaching around different things. But, like, there's going to be things he taught you about what you do in a matchup that don't apply anymore, right? That's what's happened with Abbey of Kings. You just need to reassess your approach. And what an interesting approach out of Louis. Going into the stables for the sofa. He's already got triple mill, though. Like, this is a really smart play. So he's getting 2 or 3 sofas out. He's going to try to harass. What on earth is this TC? I just noticed this. Guys, you know exactly what I'm going to say. That right there is a Marine Lord spawn. He got the deer and the boar in the island. I think he did shove some of the deer in, right? Wait, can someone like check me on this? But the deer, did the deer start here? Did this mad son of a gun push the deer all the way across? He might have. No, the icon's here, right? Like, if he pushed the deer far, the icon disappears. So he genuinely did get a Marine Lord spawn. Deer and boar on one location for the TC. What a jackpot. Louis is quickly learning why actually Malians suck on this map, by the way. Can you spot why you might not want to pick Malians here? He only has a single gold vein that's going to be fully houseable. Everything else is terrible. It's like Cliffside? No, it feels worse than Cliffside. I feel like Cliffside sometimes has a bit more mercy for you, because like Cliffside gives you 2 golds, which you can fully surround. You can't surround 2 golds entirely on this map. Unless you get some godly luck. Like, even the situation like over on the other side, Marine Lord, some of it is going to be blocked out, right? So, yeah. For anyone who ends up playing this in the War Chief Club or anywhere else, do not recommend picking Malians here. So, King is going to have to back away. Other cool detail about having these sofas, the sofas are quicker than the King, so they can actually chase him down. Especially when they charge. But not going to be worth it for him. He's going to back away. In the meantime, Marine Lord is actually adding in troops. So we've got Horsemen and Lombos coming. Really? Louis liked the Malians because you didn't need any space for farms. That's an interesting idea, Baltoon. I don't mind that idea, but I think like the gold sacrifice is kind of wonky, right? Because now I think it means it's a little bit harder to scale into gold-based units. So you can kind of make surfers work, but if this had turned into a javelin spear game, it might have been a little bit more of a predicament. Rancher should be filling up fairly quickly here. 2TC is starting to build a notable lead though, right? We're now 7 villages up from Marine Lord. He's adding in multiple layers of troops here. So this is pretty cool. He's trying to force Louis to commit more. He's already done that by getting him to go into spears and sofas. But you want to see him now add in jabs. And the reason you want to force him to do that is that once you reach the castle age, you can switch over to men-at-arms knights, and the jabs don't really have much value. And by forcing Louis to do it now, you're keeping him from castle age, but what you're also doing is you're ensuring that when he techs up, he has something he doesn't want. So yeah, pretty cool little detail there. And you might think, oh, building horsemen against sofa KV, that seems dumb. Well, it's not just because he's got spears that it makes sense. It's because actually with the King aura, you can easily break away with Horseman and King and heal off the damage. Any damage done in return is permanent. Like, that is the thing that I think borderline people are going to feel is OP about the King over time that they're going to realize here. Everyone right now is struggling with the fast castle 2TC builds. I actually think the more broken build you'll encounter the English is Prolonged Feudal. And the reason is because they have healing. Anytime you introduce healing that's so easily and freely accessible, it's going to become a problem. Like, if you think about it, if there was any element that we could criticize about Abbey of Kings, because someone asked, do I think it's OP? And I said no. If there's one element that will make it seem OP, it's this. What other civs compete with this right now? Jeanne can do a Divine Restoration, but that's limited. And outside that, she herself only heals. French Knights can heal, but that's one unit type that can heal. The more expensive unit type on a civ that, you know, doesn't get as free of a safe eco escalation as the English do, right? Delhi? When was the last time you saw a Delhi player pulling all of his scholars to heal? It doesn't really happen anymore. Not since the herbal medicine nerfs a few years back. It's like a lot of civs just don't have this same level of power, let alone have it on a unit that is this fast. A raid attempt is going to work out. Grand Fulani is on the way up, and Marine Lord, well, he should be seeing this. Instead, he's going to go for the stables. So M-Lord is getting ready for his own tech up. This is smart. He's just denying the wood line and then also denying the production. And you can see that right now the second tree line is quite far away. So Louis is going to prep additional stables. This is going to put him down on production count. So it's quite interesting, actually, because a while ago I proposed a buff to Abbey of Kings that I think would have worked a lot better, which is that you would use a targeted ability called Divine Intervention or something like that. And the idea would be that a small area on the map would start to heal units in range of it that were outside combat. So it would have been a replacement for the old campfire attached to Abbey of Kings. Devs decided to go the different way about it, though. And I'm wondering if they will have to change this element. So like I said, I think that the opening of the king and how it forces you to react is something people are going to have to adjust to. It's over time, the thing that's going to become more absurd is indeed the kingly presence. So nice burn down, pit mine taken out. Both of them, in fact. Louis doesn't have any gold. I'm looking for a sneak point. I don't see one. He's going to have to fight for it. Green Lord has got the Mass Horseman together. Lombo's going to snipe down the few Donzos that are here. Donzos that haven't been upgraded, by the way. The Sofas have been prioritized, but that's a problem. They can be countered from an age behind. That's now the problem for Louis' comp, and I love the way that Marine Lord read right through it. If M Lord hunkered down and just stayed at home, Louis MT would be in control of this game right now. But because Marine Lord pushed it, Louis now has a problem. These Spearmen are in position to do damage, not just defend. And it means he can't choose his fights. He's forced to commit to them. And that's a problem when your only solution is Sofas, because Sofas will get countered by feudal armies. Right? This is quite often why we talk about the idea of, is Men-at-Arms, is Ghulams better? Right? Like, how many times have you seen me cast Ayyubids recently where I'm like, Ghulams would have worked better here? The logic is, you're giving your opponent a way of fighting and beating you from feudal. Men-at-Arms don't allow that. The problem in this game, of course, is playing as the Malians, you don't have Men-at-Arms. This is the only thing you can do, and this thing is not working. Marine Lord, full orangutan mode. The monkey is attacked, and the spearmen are looking unbeatable here. I think Louis made a critical blunder here, guys. This is crazy. Just think how different this game would look right now if Louis had upgraded the Donzos instead. But he was paranoid about additional Lombos coming, right? And all of a sudden, you now have a game where Marine Lord, he's going White Tower. He's going to be 20 eco ahead. And although you've got this Fulani, I feel like you're possibly going to lose a few of them. Like, Marine Lord could easily dive in and take out 3 of these ranches right now. Instead, he's going to back up. Happy with the fact that his opponent has practically got no gold. In fact, where is he getting his gold from? Did he trade? I'm trying to figure out where he went. Because there's no way Mance is giving that much gold. He must have traded. Huh? Oh, well, I guess he kept coming out, right, and then running away. So he's getting intermittent gold spurts. Sofa Raid is not going to hit either. Walls are already up from Marine Lord. Another nice thing about this whole map being shallow, right? You can wall everywhere. How many villages is Fulani equivalent to? I think someone done the raw maths on this before, but you've got 86 food a minute coming from these farms, right? And then you get an extra... How much is it? Extra 20 food. So it's... I'm trying to remember what the numbers were. I think it's about 4 villages per farm, if I'm not mistaken, for each ranch full. So you're getting about 20, right around 20, 24 once you have the 2 eco upgrades. But then remember on the other side, Marine Lord has got farms. So he's getting increased gathering rates on his farmer villages. And then outside that, he had deer, he had boars. So he had other ways of kind of offsetting this advantage that Louis has. Well, low temps coming in. Not going to work out. That's problematic. Louis needs these relics right now. Marine Lord's already pulling towards them. But the other issue is that Louis doesn't have great gold access. Feels very exposed still in this game. And if you're wondering, why the hell does Louis have Warrior Scouts? It's because it's all they can afford. Like, dude, I can't believe what he's done to him in this game. I don't remember the last time I saw a Malian player at a critical point feel so gold-starved. Sure, he's got gold access again, but you can already see the impact it's had when he's built almost 20 Warrior Scouts that are still feudal age variety. He's upgraded them now, but into Mass Spearmen, this is, to say the least of it, a not-so-desirable comp. I think that's the polite way of referring to it, because the alternative... It's just calling it absolute. Archer upgrade now coming in as well. I mean, why not, right? Your opponent has built into Musafadi. You've got spears already to deal with the cavalry. Funnily enough, like many an English game has been in the past, spearmen and lombos is the answer to everything. How did the Malians now win this? Louis... I don't know if you want to go Imperial. This is a tough one, right? Like, your opponent has White Tower. He's condensed himself nicely. It's at least not Stonewall, so maybe the Musafadi spam build could work if you played double flank. because then the Lombos won't be able to react, right? And the Lombo count isn't there yet. He only has 1. Because I don't think you want this to go into Imperial Age. Imperial Age most definitely will favor the English because of how much better their farms get, because of the fact that the network of Castle Citadel buff is insane. And also, your biggest booster as Malians is now, when the Fulani comes online. As the game goes deeper, you lose that advantage. Especially 2 TC versus 1. Break for common walls. And I think this is what the perspective of Louis is like the idea of the Warrior Scouts, you got to start building it because of a lack of gold, but now also, similar to the Mustafadis, you can raid the flanks. You can avoid the problem. White Tower double buff was White Tower double production was too much of a buff. I think I already I feel like I might have been the first person to go over White Tower being really good. Because the first player I saw using it, rather, was well over a year ago at State. State had this sick build with White Tower on Prairie against HRE that completely killed HRE. Because HRE would Castle Rush and go Regnants and just go for Relics. And then with the White Tower, after going Deer on Prairie, you would just pump Knights and kill them. Because they couldn't match your production rate, right? They just lost out immediately. So yeah, like the power of White Tower is pretty strong. It is underrated, just how good getting a Knight 18 seconds in is. I think people have started to revisit it, not just because of the buff to the king, but also because of how powerful we've seen the Japanese be with the triple production rate from Euroshiro. TC, getting torched down, is going to fall here. Still, that is a pretty healthy 30 villager lead for Marine Lord. 2-2 relic split as well. Looks like the third one is at least going to go the way of Louis. Marine Lord almost did recover that, by the way. You can see the commitment. It was well played by Louis. If he chose to fight with these units instead of just torching, he never would have got through the town center in time. I do love it when someone's like, I was doing this thing before it was popular. I see you, Invictus. I love the hipster logic because I'm one of those people where it's like, I don't want to find the meta today. I want to find the meta 5 years in the future. It's like, I'm not saying that I'm better than Marine Lord, but guys, I do this build that I know they're going to be doing in 4 years. I was actually that type of person in Dota 2. I do like Ursa, POS 4, I do Wraith King support. And I just had such a big smile on my face when a few years later it appeared at basically the equivalent of World Cup for them. It's quite comical because, you know, like the funny thing is whenever you commit to the whole idea of like, I was doing this first, you have to realize that somewhere out there on the ladder, there's a bronze guy that was also doing it around the same time you were doing it. I mean, if you think about it, statistically, with the amount of players playing Age of Empires 4, it's true. So does that mean you copied a bronze? Raids coming in. The problem is now as you start to move close to Marine Lord's base, he can react on the flanks much quicker. And it looks like M-Lord is prioritizing a castle timing here. Food gathering is fantastic at this stage. There's nothing left on the map for him, right? Like the sacred sites have been locked in, but Louis holding this for 10 minutes is going to be difficult. Cool play here, though. 4 of the Huntress already in the way. He's going to pull the trigger first. Now, I do genuinely believe that the English have better value out of their Imperial Landmark here with Windguard. Windguard is going to give you a surge point. What Windguard does is it allows you to kind of do what the Malians do in Castle Age, which is flood. There you go. See, Shuckle just pointed out. He remembers facing a gold guy on Ottoman release who was fast Imperialing and building mass great bombards. Yeah, that guy, I'm not going to lie, anyone who's won a tournament game and won money playing Ottomans should be giving 10% of their winnings to that bronze guy. Or sorry, that gold guy. I was talking to an energy drink company yesterday, and what was the idea I gave them? I was like, you know what, like toffee apple would be a sick idea for a flavor. And then I just kept lifting off flavors and like, by the way, if you implement any of these, 10% of earnings goes to me, okay? I'm the idea police. And what an idea out of Marine Lord. Well, you look at that. Windguard Palace coming in. We had a game between Louis and Beastie earlier where I remember we were having a little bit of debate with Core where he's like, yes, but you still have the Berkshire to defend at all times. And I was like, I don't know, dog. You watch the highest level players, they're going to be doing the Windguard Palace. I don't think you can think of a higher level player right now. Marine Lord on the top of his game. Windguard Palace coming in. In fact, the top two, if you think about it, right? The two people who won the most recent tournaments, you've got Marine Lord and you've got Wham. Both of them do Windguard builds. This landmark is insanely powerful. We're probably going to be looking at Raiders to open up just because it gives you Flood. It gets your numbers up. Actually, at this stage, maybe even just Footman. He's almost at pop already. So spamming Footman, getting those numbers together could be good. It's just a little bit weird when you're already against Musafadi. Rangers could also make a lot of sense. It just depends on whether Marine Lord wants to take a very slow approach to this. Ray's still coming in. I'd love to see Marine Lord just get a little bit of stone from the corner. In fact, yeah, he does know about this. A stone wall on this west side and then the east side would just allow him to focus on the center. Because right now, Louis is dancing around the problem. This is exactly what Malian players try to do. It's why we've seen Malian players recently finding a lot of success against Chinese, against the Jeanne D'Arc faction on maps like Dry Arabia. Because the map is so wide and all these exposed points are available to them, they just flood you. They overwhelm you because you can't put out the fires, right? While you're busy just getting the hose and getting ready to stop the flammable just exploding, all of a sudden, this annoying little Malian kid has set fire to 5 different things, including your cat. I hate how they always go after my cat. M-Lord prepping the volley. Love this. Everything you're up against gets countered by Lombos. I do not love the fact that he's not building Windguard Rangers. I mean, they are just better archers. It seems like he's forgotten to bind them in. But Archers most definitely is the MVP. Archers plus Spearmen, funnily enough, just wins this game. You don't want to build men-at-arms because you're against Musafadi, and also Gunners will wipe them. You might as well just have Spearmen that will just be kind of a cost-efficient tank. The only weakness of this build for Marine Lord is if the game goes on too long, wood's going to run out. So he needs to be conscious of that. Food and gold units tend to make more sense in late game for English because they can generate gold ad infinitum off of their farms. Raid's coming on the east side. Marine Lord is getting forced together, and it is indeed going to be the Footman. Interesting choice. Yeah, I've got to say, not really many Ranger players at the moment. Windguard Raiders seems to be the most popular, then Footman's the follow-up, and then it's Rangers, and then Windguard Army. Windguard Army is very rarely built anymore. I just think it's too slow. The meta has moved away from this very slow siege slog to a more rapid pacing, and Windguard armies just don't fit that pacing. They take too long to come out, take too long to scale, and Trebs himself take way too long to attack. Torches are in though, and it looks like Louis MT is going to start losing some valuable production while he's in the middle of a Musafadi gunner scale. Raid on the other side is at least going to block out some of these buildings, but the problem is the keep is stopping him from diving any deeper. Great read by Marine Lord to get this castle up here, just to block any raid throughs, because he already had the white tower on the ford, right? So this was a weak point in his formation. The only downside I'd say still is that Marine Lord has not stonewalled. Is just such a value player at this stage. But the reality of the game is he's so strong, he knows he can do more damage on the other side. This game is looking pretty over, guys. Louis just doesn't have the production to match this anymore. He's behind by 30, and it does feel like a full 30. I don't care what Fulani does for you, and compared to English farms, it's not going to be close. Spearman. Ooh, just about not going to be able to get it. So it looks like wave number 1 from Marine Lord will probably get pushed back, but the problem is you can see what's coming over the hill. It's a monster and a big one. We've got Footman getting added in. Weirdly enough, after I just threw some flame the way of Windguard armies, Marine Lord has queued them up. I wouldn't read into this too much. I genuinely think at this stage he could build anything and he'd be winning the game. Farms. Or other ranches now also being sniped down. Imagine Louis and his perspective on this game right now and how he feels, right? Like, he's like, oh, nice, got rid of him. He's been reset. And then you see this coming your way. Okay, that wasn't as intimidating as I was hoping. And then you'll see these coming your way. 12 Footmen already ready to rock and roll. Those long-range Trebs were actually Mangonels. Yeah, I remember that. I distinctly remember casting some of the finals back in those days. Do you guys remember the tournament, the Golden League tournament, where Viper was doing an English-only challenge, basically? I think almost every one of his games was English, and then the final one he may have picked Abbasid or something like that. But he was going to win one of the Golden League rounds just playing English every game. And every time, it was Layer in the trebs. Showering projectiles it all down. Don't come through. You know what would be interesting to me, actually? I don't want to say it, because everyone's going to hate that I'm suggesting a buff for the English. I mentioned that Rangers doesn't get built that much. If it was food and gold, I think you'd see Rangers more often. That's the problem here. Because they cost wood, right? And wood is genuinely the thing that English are going to run out of in games. It's not gold. I think the gold would make it somewhat more affordable. You guys want to know the Warrior Scout's health? 155. He hasn't got any university techs, I don't think. Let me double check. He hasn't even got a university, right? Okay, no, he has got one. It's somewhere. Here. Yeah, only incendiary arrows. No elite army tactics either. Alright, this is going to be one-sided. EAT just came in, and that means he's going to eat the Malians. He already had incendiary arrows. He's now also got the extra health on these spearmen. I'm struggling to see a way that Louis claws back into this now. Bombards have moved up. 4th Huntress is now under siege. And all of a sudden, you now see the difference, right? Like, before, it was a trade. Marine Lord went in, Louis went in. Now, Louis not making any moves. It feels impossible to move out quick enough. I'm impressed by the fact that Marine Lord never needed those stone walls, by the way. He's just relied on palisades this entire time, knowing you trade better every day of the week. I love that the scouts have to go for the treb because they can't reach the bombards. I don't think that matters. That treb is kind of irrelevant. The bombard's going to break the keep here. Yeah, interesting choice, though. I'm wondering, like, Louis, is the farm space saved really worth what's happened here? I don't think so. I think Louis learned a lot from this initial game on this map. Because if the logic was to save rooms so that you don't have to worry about farm space, Marine Lord has just played one of the civs that does farms the most, right? English love building farms, and yet he is looking on top of the world right now. 37 farms isn't exactly an insane late game, but he has got more room up here if he needed additional farms, right? He's got more room down here for 1 or 2 farm clusters, so I don't think you need to worry too much about the farm state, unless you're a civ that booms to a ridiculous degree. Maybe Byzantine's late game would struggle here, but then again, Byzantine's early mid game would easily dominate this map as well. So yeah, Malians to me, the fact that you lose out on the pit mines in exchange for this logic of not needing as much room for food doesn't really make much sense. Can't play China on this map. I think you could, actually. This space here is enough for granary transition, and then you build your production on the side. I think granaries, while it wouldn't be like the fattest and flattest of plains, is feasible on this map. Because, like, look here, right? You cleared the initial gold, got all the room in the world for granaries. I think granaries could work on this map. I don't think the farm limitations are as big as you think. What I will say is I believe civs that have better production rates will have an edge here. GG called, though. Marine Lord showing you that actually the English aren't hard counted now by the Malians. Don't focus too much on the map choice here, folks. Mark my words. No matter the choice, Dry Arabia, go cliffside, wherever you want to be, I think the English actually now have a clear capability of beating their biggest African enemy.